Welcome to King's Corner. I'm your host, Christian Kane. On today's episode, we're doing the AFC North, one of the most storied divisions in all of football. You have the Steelers, the Ravens, the Browns, the Bengals. All four of these teams hate each other, and it's awesome football to watch. If you ever get a chance to watch this division, you sit down and watch every single time. You love every moment of it. But let's get into this rankings because we got to find out who won the AFC North offseason. And it's time for me to grade them and give them what they did this offseason. Let's start with the Cleveland Browns. They get a D+. Why? I like some of the moves they've made. They are clearly setting up for the future. I understand getting rid of Myles Garrett's a big loss, but you add Jared Verse. I like their offensive line acquisitions. I did like the receiver acquisitions they made. David Njoku, I wasn't a big fan of losing because Todd Monken loves to run a lot of 12 personnel, and I think losing him doesn't allow him to run as 12 personnel heavy as he likes to be. But let's get into why I really have a D+, because you're like, well, you said you like the moves. Todd Monken to me is a place hire. He's not the future hire. Whenever you hire a head coach, you never go into it saying, well, he's just there to branch us to the future. I don't like doing that. If that's how you're looking, you're already setting yourself up to lose, and that's clearly what the Browns did here. If the Browns were a smart organization, who they would have hired to be defensive coordinator, or not defensive coordinator, to be coach, would have been Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz was the anchor of this team the best two to three seasons, and every player in that locker room, offense or defense, absolutely loved him. And the way the Browns did him reminded me of exactly how they did Greg Williams back in 2018. When they got rid of Greg Williams, the entire team was frustrated, upset, and they brought in their Freddie Kitchens as the head coach instead of bringing back Greg Williams, and it put a rift in that organization for a year. And I think they just did the same thing here. I'm going to be shocked if he's able to get the team behind him and ready to rally. And the big question mark to me is they're not set up for the future at the quarterback position. Shedeur Sanders, everybody wants to act like he's some great prospect. He had 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions last year. What are we on about? Do I think he's got some talent? Sure. But is he a franchise quarterback? No. Everybody gets mad because he was a 5th-round pick and he was projected by the media to be a 1st-round pick. I'm sorry. The NFL drafts you where you're supposed to be drafted. Very rarely do you get outdrafted of where you should have went. Most of the time, if you're getting outdrafted, it's because you went way too high instead of way too low. I mean, Tom Brady and Brock Purdy are the only examples you can really think of who are 5th-round or later quarterbacks that panned out amazingly. Outside of that, it's like, oh, you can see why they were drafted that late. And even those two, they weren't. It's not even that their talent showed they should have been drafted higher. It's they had great supporting cast. Yes, Tom Brady's the GOAT, but you got to argue he had one of the greatest supporting cast around him in NFL history, which is why he was able to produce the way he does. Granted, Tom Brady had a great work ethic, and that put him there, but he was a 6th-round pick for a reason. And if it was taken again, if he was taken any higher than that, and by another team, he would not have been Tom Brady. Where you get drafted matters much more than where you get drafted. And what I mean by is the positioning does not matter. It's to where you get drafted to. And for Shedeur, Cleveland was the worst spot possible for him because they're not going to give him any consistency around what he's working with. And I truly don't even know if they want him to be the starting quarterback right now. Reports are him and Deshaun Watson have been going back and forth, and it's been a great battle. But it's also been they've both struggled. And if you've seen clips from the Cleveland Browns offseason, it's like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Shedeur, you can't even hit the 20-yard out route that well? I mean, I know kids in high school making this throw. You're struggling with it, and the media posts it like it's something great. I'm hoping I'm wrong about Cleveland and their future ends up being great. Maybe Todd Monken is better than what I'm giving him credit for, but to me, Todd Monken's never been great outside of his time with Lamar Jackson and in Georgia when he had an all-time defense behind him. He's not an offensive mind that I'm like, oh, he's going to generate points no matter who's back there, because it's not true. Look what happened last year with Cooper Rush or Tyler Huntley. It didn't look great. And this Browns team, to me, just isn't built to build up around Todd Monken's strengths as a play caller, which is why I'll be shocked if he makes 2 years. But the Browns get a D+. Let's move on to our next team. And as you can see, the next team is the Baltimore Ravens. This hurts me to put them here because I do like some of the aspects of what they did this offseason. But my biggest gripe are 2 things. One, the Max Crosby trade, they should have continued it. There is nothing wrong with his knee. I don't care what their physical trainers did. The only reason they backed out of that trade is because they thought they could get better value with Trey Hendrickson without having to give up picks than they could Max Crosby. Newsflash, Max Crosby will have more sacks this season than Trey Hendrickson will in the next 3 years combined. Book it. I'm not a fan of what the Ravens have done this offseason at all in some areas. There are some things I like, and I'll get to that in a second. But Declan Doyle, their new offensive coordinator, comes from Chicago. He's going to run a Ben Johnson offense. Do you know what is fundamental for a Ben Johnson offense in order for it to succeed? You got to have a strong offensive line, and the Ravens got worse up front. Tyler Linderbaum's gone. I don't know who they replaced him with, and it wasn't an adequate replacement. They've lost Isaiah Likely. This system requires a lot of 12 personnel, 13 personnel. Who are you running 12 personnel with? You have Mark Andrews, who's at near the end of his career, and a bunch of nobodies. I really don't know how this offense is going to thrive the way it needs to with the offensive line being it is. This system starts up front and works its way out. It's not like some systems where it's quick, and you can work around a maybe a misfit offensive line. This system requires time. And the other thing is, I'm not sure if Lamar Jackson fits this idea of this offense. It doesn't fit his strengths. Lamar's somebody, he likes to be in gun. He likes to be in pistol. Lamar doesn't ever look very comfortable under center. Maybe he's worked on that a ton this offseason, but I'm just not sure that I can trust him to work with it. And I love a lot of their hires. Jesse Minter was the perfect hire for this Ravens team. And the only hope the Ravens have is that he's able to get this defense producing and Kyle Hamilton to be an all-pro. I truly believe he could get them going there, which is why, even though I'm giving them a C+ in the offseason, I could see them still be a contender for the Super Bowl because the Ravens have one of the best rosters in all football, top to bottom. My only question marks are on that offensive line. If that offensive line is actually solid, this offseason grade goes from a C+ to a B+. It's not an A because I still need to see what happens at edge rusher. I truly think Trey Hendrickson's at the end of his career. I didn't see the same guy last year, and I know he had a holdout, but most of the time after these players have these long holdouts, it doesn't go well for them when they come back. Look at Le'Veon Bell. He had that year holdout with the Steelers, comes back the next year, and he was never Le'Veon Bell again. And you're saying, well, Trey Hendrickson came back for week 1. True, but he's also 32+ years old. And an edge rusher, you don't get better on the defensive side as you age. You get worse. You need that athletic step to keep going. Maybe I'm wrong on this Ravens team. Maybe Trey Hendrickson has another prime to him that I don't see. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. But let's get to our next team. And the team with the second best offseason in the AFC North had to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I loved their offseason. I thought Mike McCarthy was a better hire than what people thought of. True, I probably wanted them to go with the younger hire, but I see why they did it. They're building up for what they need to be for the next 5 years. Mike McCarthy's not going to be the head coach in 10 years. He's not going to be the coach probably in 5 years, or he'll probably be the coach in 5 years. But in 10 years, more than likely not. But he's going to build up his predecessor is on that staff right now. And I truly believe he can get this offense to heights they haven't seen since 2018 and before, because Mike McCarthy, for the first time since Todd Haley, is going to bring a modern offense to Pittsburgh. And I cannot wait to see it. And Aaron Rodgers still has gas in that tank, and it's still fun to watch Aaron Rodgers. And I truly believe Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy are going to be able to get back on the same wavelength and have some success. Not to the level they once did, but let's say they're a top 15, top 20 offense. I truly believe that's good enough for this team to be an AFC Championship, AFC Divisional Round conversations. I truly think the Steelers can win a playoff game this year, and it's not because of their offense. It's because of their defense. Patrick Graham, with this much defensive talent, is going to have a top 10, arguably top 5 defense in the NFL. And you go, well, how come Patrick Graham's never done this before? He's never had this level of talent around him. The Steelers have talent on the defensive side, and Patrick Graham's going to bring a defensive scheme that fits 2026. I get so frustrated watching the Pittsburgh Steelers over the last 5 to 10 years run a defensive scheme that was great in 1991. If you ever run a scheme where TJ Watt is having 100+ coverage snaps a season, what are we doing? TJ Watt this year might have 22.5+ sacks. I truly believe that because Patrick Graham's going to have him in a situation where he's constantly pass rushing, and you have a defensive line of TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Cameron Hayward, and you have them consistently rushing the passer, you're going to get results, and I think you're also going to get results on the defensive side all over. I think the Steelers will produce more turnovers this year. They'll be ready to get better against the run, better against the pass. I think the Steelers have potential to be a great defense this year. They've put more money into their defense than anybody else in the league, and granted, I'm not a big fan of that because you're in an offensive era, but if you put your money, you better have somebody that can put your money where your mouth is, and I think the Steelers have that guy in Patrick Graham. I love what the Steelers did there. Now you're wondering, how come you gave him a B and not an A? Because you're talking about them glowingly. I wasn't a big fan of what they did at the quarterback position outside of Aaron Rodgers. What is your future plan? Who's your backup? Right now, let's say Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, because every other season, Aaron Rodgers seems to get nicked up with either a finger, an Achilles, an ACL, some kind of knee injury that lingers on throughout the season. Well, last year it was his thumb. If Aaron Rodgers goes down, who's coming in? Because Mason Rudolph more than likely will not be on the roster unless you're keeping 4 quarterbacks. I mean, what are you going to do? Is Drew Aller ready? Is Will Howard ready? I really need to see it just to know what am I working with. If, let's say, Will Howard is what I think he could be, and that's a Josh Allen light. If he can be Josh Allen light, that works out incredibly for the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike McCarthy. I truly believe that happens. This offseason goes from a B to an A to almost an A plus. I loved every move the Steelers made this year, and I cannot wait to see what they do this season. I will be watching every single game very closely. I cannot wait. But I know you Ravens fans probably disagree. Tell me why I'm wrong. Bet you can't, but I want to see you try. I had to. I had to give the Bengals the first place of this division. They've been doing what I've been demanding them to do the last 3 years, and they haven't done this since 2021. They put all their money into the defensive side, and it finally shows. If you can put an adequate defense behind Joe Burrow, it will pay off wonders. The reason the Bengals were able to make it to a Super Bowl in an AFC Championship game early in Joe Burrow's career is because they had a defense behind him that they weren't lights out, but they could get stops when they needed to. And I believe the pieces they put in place now allows them to have a defense that could be even better than those old defenses of old. I truly believe Dexter Lawrence is a good move for the Bengals. I believe they have an offense that is going to be healthy this year because it's another season. If it was 2025, I'd be saying otherwise. But Joe Burrow will play all 17 games this year. I truly believe Chase Brown is meant to have a breakout season this year. I love every move they made defensively. I loved everything from the defensive line to the secondary to the linebackers. I truly believe on all 3 levels that defense is greatly improved. I cannot wait to see what this Bengals team is this year because if they can just stay healthy, they could be the team to win the conference. And we all know how Joe Burrow is in close games. There's a reason we call him Joe Cool because he's cool under pressure. That nickname has been given to so many people over the years. But it also usually comes with Super Bowls. When you get the nickname Joe Cool, you typically win a Super Bowl. And Joe Burr, Joe Shiesty, Joe Cool, whatever you want to call him, is missing 2 things from his resume right now, a Super Bowl and an MVP, and there's a chance he gets both this season. But let me know what your guys' grades for the AFC North were this year. For all the AFC North fans out there, what are you excited for? What moves did you disagree with this offseason? Is there a move I'm missing? Is there a move I disagreed with? Is there something that I said that made you mad? Please like, please subscribe, please come back tomorrow. I love talking to you guys. But anyway, have a wonderful day. King's Corner.